2, 1.
Welcome to Antimatters. Hello everyone, welcome to my first proper anting video. This is my third attempt at actually trying to make one, but they usually don't go as planned. And as usual, this one didn't really go to plan either. Well, the whole plan though, before we start, was I was going to head to this really good spot that I know, and it's got Temnothorax, Formica fusca, Formica rufa, and Myrmica rubra, all in the space of a few meters, and it's just like my favourite spot in the world really. So I set off in the car and cruised over to my local common where they live. The main issue with the whole plan, I think, that ruined it all was it was so hot. It's like at least 30 degrees today. So I set off into the woods though and filmed as I went for quite a while, and normally the area where I'm walking at the beginning, you don't really get many ants there, so I wasn't really looking too much, but I only saw one Formica fusca, or Rufa worker, sorry. I flipped a couple logs, and as you can see under this one there was mostly slugs, woodlice and a couple beetles. Nothing of interest really, so I kept missioning on though. While cruising around, I found this little apiary. I think that's what they're called, a little bee house where they keep all the bees. I kind of wondered how they stopped ants eating all the bees, but I'm guessing it's off the floor, so maybe they don't turn up and maybe the bees can fight them off. Yeah, I kept on heading forward. I ended up though at this nice little stream, and it was so hot, and the idea of just having a little dip in the stream was just too nice. So yeah, I did that. And while I was there, I filmed a few of the insects that were flying about. There wasn't too many flies, luckily, but there was loads of pond skaters. Nice healthy little stream, I think. There's also a dragonfly, but blink and you'll miss it. Plenty of blackberries as well, although I don't really like blackberries, but they look good when they're sitting there. I think this is a damselfly as well, like a pretend dragonfly looking thing. But yeah, decided to sit on this bit of grass and sunbathe for a little bit, so here you go. It's a devil to get into focus though, because it just wanted to focus on the blackberries in the background. When I first turned up in the spot as well, there was like a hornet too, and that's what made me get my camera out, to be honest, because yeah, I'd love to have caught a picture of the hornet, but it flew off. Luckily for me, I guess. But I dipped my feet in and cooled off a bit. After about 10 minutes I decided, like, let's keep going. The main problem with the spot I'd chosen for anting was it's at the top of a hill. And it's not a massive hill, it's only like 100 meters. But when the temperature outside is like pushing 30, oh my god, I was sweating. It was streaming off. It was bad, basically. Yeah, if I gross everyone out. But yeah, it was not too pleasant walking up a hill in the roasting heat. But I managed to get to the top. I was so dazed and confused by the time I got to the top, I nearly didn't even realise I'd got there. but started looking around for some ants. The top of this hill, though, last time I came, about a few weeks ago, had 4 species all at once, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll go and have another look. But I think most of them have just gone inside because it's too hot really to go out foraging, unless you're a Formica Rufa. And yeah, it's best to stay safe underground. Yeah, there was loads of Rufa though, and one of their big highways kind of cuts right through this little patch of woods. Some of them have got takeaway. They were proper having a go at this little caterpillar though for ages. And one of them would pull it one way and the other one would pull it the other way half the time as well. They're not the most coordinated little ants, but it made its way towards the nest, I presume, eventually. They do remind me of army ants, to be honest, the Formica Rufa, because when there's like 100,000 of them just streaming down paths, nothing can really get out of the way. Well, unless they can fly off, they're getting eaten. But I spotted them eating all sorts. I kept snapping a load of sticks though, looking for the Temnothorax, but this time I couldn't find anything. And before I broke every stick for like miles around, I decided I won't break any more sticks because they'll need some nests in future. But it was too hot. And then I spotted a Fusca. One lone Fusca. I'm really happy with finding this one Fusca. And I always find Fusca here. And there's all of the surrounding area as well, but I've never found a nest. And I've been looking for a long time. But one day, hopefully, I'll find a Formica Fusca wild nest. It's just, they're all hidden around me. After a bit of baking at the top of the hill though, and only seeing Formica Rufa, I decided it was time for a change of plan. I was going to hit up another spot, and I knew there was 100% going to be loads of Formica Rufa there. So I got in the car and cruised on over. Apart from being too hot, it was a lovely day. Like, the scenery was lush, and I do love the views around here. But I turned up at the next spot and started missioning on. Luckily, most of it was under the trees, so I didn't get too cooked. But I know 100% there's loads of Formica Rufa around here, and I know where one of the mounds is, so I thought I'll go there instead, because I like seeing them. It's quite apparent though that this woodland has Formica Rufa in though, because as soon as you start kind of getting anywhere near it, you start seeing Formica Rufa. And the first time I saw them was a moderate little motorway, I guess, into the field. It's quite a impressive amount of ants if it was any other species, but it's Formica Rufa, so this actual path of ants is tiny, to be honest. They can get a lot bigger. I sat and watched them though for a little bit. I saw a lot of them carrying food, things like that. I think one of them had a woodlouse for dinner. After a little bit though, I decided let's head to the actual busy area, because this was a quiet little patch. As soon as I stepped foot into the forest next to the field, where it was proper more wooded, the Formica Rufa were everywhere. The floor was just crawling with little ants. For hundreds of meters, there's just little ants everywhere. I saw some people on bikes and I thought, they're going to run over loads of them. But then I guess there is hundreds upon hundreds of thousands in this small area. So there's plenty to replace any casualties. I also managed to get a glimpse of 2 of them having a fight, I believe. Although the one on the left does look a little bit lighter red than the one on the right, which means that it could be trying to drag it home. if the one on the left is a newborn. They might just be having a fight though. As you can see, one of them's got the mandible and is grabbing on for dear life and is yanking them about. They don't seem to go forward or backwards at all. They just go sideways when they're interlocked. I think it's time to pull out the slow-mo. Might be able to get an idea of what's going on. I'm not sure how many times this is slowed down because the phone does it itself. But you can see they're like struggling with their legs flailing all over the place. They don't seem too aggressive, like they're banging antennas like quite nicely. Although this is slowed down, so they might be whacking each other with the antennas. They could be from two different colonies though, and maybe are having a scrap. I never really find like lines where they divide up their colonies, but I do assume they're not one super big colony, like all their mounds are all really far away from each other, like they're not a super colony, so they must have fights every now and again. What I have noticed with most of these is they like to hop over the hedge and go into the field. I'm not sure what they get up to in the field, whether they're killing pests or stealing the crops. I get a feeling though, by the amount of bugs they return with, they're actually clearing out the pests in the field, which is quite a good little job for them really. It'd be nice if they could replace pesticides. But yeah, kept marching on. This little wooded area is quite thin, and on one side is the common as well. Sometimes there's loads of ants heading out here, although today it was pretty empty. I think it's just too hot for them, even the Rufa. They were all hidden under the trees, safe from the baking sun. I headed under the trees again though, and kept marching, and the more I press on into the woods, the thicker and thicker the Rufas on the floor get. There must be at least over 500 per metre squared in a lot of places, and their trails are just everywhere. Every opportunity they have to get into the field over a small little bump, which has no foliage, they exploit it. I kept marching though. I thought the Formica Rufa mound, the one of them which I know where it was a bit closer, but I'm not sure if it was the heat, but oh my god, it took forever. Penny, my poor little dog, like luckily there's lots of streams and stuff, otherwise she'd got a bit thirsty. Once I got to the mound, it looked pretty quiet, and normally there's a big stream coming out the side of the mound, across the path, over the bank, and the hedge, and into the field, but today it was quite quiet. So I decided to have a good look at the mound itself. It's made of like pine cones and just bits of junk really. Pine needles, all sorts. A few sticks. They're super aggressive, the Formica Rufa, so the moment I leant over to try and start filming them, they started crawling up my legs. But I managed to get some alright footage of them. I nearly fell over at one point as well, because one of them was biting my leg and I went to swipe it off and nearly fell into the mound and managed to lean on it a little bit, and that sent them berserk as well. Luckily this time I didn't get a good coating of formic acid, because normally I come home smelling like fish and chips, but they didn't get me too bad this time. I think the Formica Rufa are a protected species, although around here they're all I can find, which is quite annoying. It's like when they move in somewhere they just destroy everything else. Although I don't think that's true, because in the woods and in the other spot I've seen them living side by side with Formica fusca and Myrmica rubra, and they seem to get along just fine, which was It was a surprise to me, but yeah, they got along pretty well. And the Temnothorax just lived in their sticks in the mix as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was going to have 4 species all in one place at the top of a hill, and that was the plan, but yeah, it went off plan. I hope you enjoyed seeing the Rufas though. I think they really wanted to be in the spotlight, and it's just too hot for all the other ants, I believe. Hope you enjoyed. Have a fab week. I'll see you next time, and bye. I should stop complaining about the heat, although I'm not a fan.